All right, we're not done. We have more quick hits. According to multiple reports, Viktor Gyökeres is expected in London in the next few hours as Arsenal have upped their offer to Sporting Lisbon to around 60 million euros plus 10 million euros in bonuses. Rob, money well spent.
Yeah, I think so. I think the one thing that can be improved with Arsenal is somebody grabbing a bucket full of goals for them next year. Gyökeres, good age, 27, 54 goals, 52 matches last season, 97 in 102 since joining them. He's gone up a level since he scored all those goals for Coventry. And I think he's one player who can potentially improve Arsenal next year and fill a position that they maybe don't have.
People know my view. I'm a big Kai Havertz guy, and I think all you needed to do was get a credible goal-scoring backup for him, and you would have been fine. You don't need to mess around with this dude.
Okay, sticking with Arsenal, they're ready to give Ethan Nwaneri a 4-year contract. Gab, how big is this?
I think it's really big because there's only a year left on his contract. And I think if I'm Ethan Nwaneri, I look around and I say, well, hang on a minute. I'm an attacking midfielder, right? And you have Odegaard, you have Rice, now you bring in center forward, so Kai Havertz is going to be in the mix there too. There's Mikel Merino. I've played a little bit on the flank, but hey, look, our captain and best player, Bukayo Saka, plays there. Oh, and so does this other guy who we're going to talk about in the next quick hit, Noni Madueke too. Like, what's my pathway into the first team? And I think those are the questions more than the money, because the guy's going to make enough money. He will retire a very rich man. Mm-hmm. I think that's the main question, and I guess that's what Andrea Berta and Mikel Arteta will need to sell him on if he's going to sign this contract.
Interesting.
Even more Arsenal, since apparently many other clubs are just sitting around on their backsides. Noni Madueke apparently done at £52 million. Do you like this? Many Arsenal fans don't.
Yeah, the Arsenal fans are a little strange at times, aren't they? Like you say, they've got plenty of players in lots of positions. Maybe these days, with there being so many games, so many competitions, it is a squad game. Whether he, for me, walks straight into the Arsenal starting 11.
Well, not at right wing, he doesn't. Yeah, I can assure you that.
Or left wing, or number 10, or wherever, or whatever they've got for him. And 52 seems an awful lot of money for a player who hasn't really established himself at the very, very top level. But I don't know, maybe this is it. This is the future. Teams having 28 players and a squad, a shadow team of players, just in case the opening 11 can't do it week in, week out.
Not all sweetness and light for Paris Saint-Germain. Gigi Donnarumma has a year left on his contract and wants a new one. The club have offered him a 20 million euro package, including 6 million euros in bonuses. He's looking for 30 million guaranteed. As a former keeper, is a guy between the sticks worth that much? This is near Erling Haaland, Mo Salah type money.
Well, I would argue, and the goalkeepers union would argue, for my fellow brothers, that the goalkeeper is as important, if not more important, than Haaland. He can stop scoring goals, Haaland. The City can continue winning matches. If you've got a dodgy keeper, you're going to win nothing. And Donnarumma is certainly not a dodgy keeper. He's one of the very, very best in the world. He's got a chest full of medals as well. And actually, I think he's worth more than that, if I'm really, really honest. Yeah, because if he goes, you're going to have to spend double that to bring in a goalkeeper.
40 million with 1 year left. They reckon that for 40 million euros, because you only have 1 year left of his contract, you can get him. He's 27 years old, 28 years old, still a young man.
He's still 10 years away from his peak, arguably, isn't he?
Arguably, 37 is the peak. Right, there you go. Goalkeepers union has spoken.
Yep, I think he's going cheap.
Tottenham thought they had locked up Nottingham Forest midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White after triggering his £60 million release clause. Though Forest reportedly believes Spurs made an illegal approach. We'll get to that, but is he what they need?
Yeah, I'd argue he would. I kind of tease my Spurs friends and saying that they tend to buy players who've been good elsewhere, and maybe they don't get the best of them.
Better than signing players who've been bad elsewhere?
Yeah, but what they do, they buy them after their peak years. And then they've got, he's been a good player. Then they come to Spurs and they have, I would argue, they've had an easy life at Spurs and don't play Richarlison, maybe Maddison as well. But I think Morgan Gibbs-White is a player who's still getting better. He's a potential England international. He has played for England, probably will play for England as well. 60 million's a lot, but 60 million and a penny gets his trigger release clause to take him to Tottenham. So for me, if I was a Spurs fan, I'd be very encouraged by that.
So I find this interesting because they've also signing Kudus, right? Mm-hmm. We can debate Kudus' best position, but it is again sort of number 10 forwardy type situation, right? Maddison, maybe he wants to turn him into a deep lying playmaker, but he's kind of a number 10 too, right? And Kulusevski's kind of a number 10 as well. And I am not going to question Thomas Frank, But I wonder, where does this all fit together? And what does it mean? Because they also have a bunch of gifted young wingers. And Brendan Johnson, Odegaard is a guy I really, really like. And obviously Solanke and Tell up front, right? So how do all these, does this mean people are leaving? Oh, and of course, the captain, Hong-Min Son, and extended his contract.
Yeah. Well, you would imagine, given the financial fair play, whatever we want to call it at the moment, that they're going to have to shed a few as well. But he's come in and he's kept very quiet. He's a very diplomatic fellow, isn't he, Thomas Frank? But the fact that he's bringing some in probably means that there's going to be a few hangers in the changing room.
It's just odd to me that you would strengthen those positions rather than, I don't know, I would have thought central midfield. Maybe there was more room for an upgrade there, but...
Yeah, I just think he strengthens. He's a top 5 player, and I don't think Spurs have got a history of signing top 5 players, and I think he is.
So this business with the release clause, I think this is really stupid, and even though it is my friend Mr. Marinakis, who supposedly is bent out of shape over this, even though I think his Nottingham Forest shares are in a blind trust, if I'm not mistaken. So officially, he's not really involved with the team. Now, so players put these clauses in the contract. There was a case years ago, I think, with Luis Suarez, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it the Arsenal one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where, if a bid higher than such and such comes in, you have to sell. But you're not allowed to ever tell anybody that the clause is there.
Yeah.
This is so stupid because clubs are going to find out.
Yeah. You imagine any good agent is going to be maybe having a chat at the private club with the people that represent the club.
So what's the point of this? And if you agree to a £60 million clause, it's presumably because you're comfortable letting him go for $60 million.
Yeah, it's all game of footballing poker these days, isn't it? And isn't it supposed to be, if it's $60 million, then you have to pay the $60 million up front and not pay it in stages? So it's probably just political bartering.
Georgia Petrovic was Player of the Year at Strasbourg last season. Strasbourg, of course, who nearly qualified for the Champions League, but then Omabidele gave a penalty away, which then allowed Lyon to leapfrog them in the table. Omabidele, some people have pointed out, on loan from Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest beneficiaries. Sorry, Palace fans.
There's a web here, isn't there?
There is a web here that's got Palace fans all fired up. But anyway, Petrovic had a really good season at Strasbourg. Chelsea have 1 billion goalkeepers. They have let him go to Bournemouth for $25 million. You're the keeper expert. Is this good business? Is he a good keeper? We saw him in the Premier League 2 years ago.
Yeah, if I'm truthful, I didn't see a great deal of him at Chelsea, and when he played for Chelsea, he didn't have the greatest of games, but to sign for Chelsea, to be the Serbian number 1, 25 years of age, and Bournemouth are the kind of club that spend their money very wisely, don't they? They don't. 25 million seems a lot of money for a club like Bournemouth, but they've got an international keeper who's been good enough to sign for Chelsea in the first place, and clearly last year was he player of the season at Strasbourg as well. So though I've not seen enough of him, from what I read and from what I've seen in YouTube highlights, he does look like a top keeper, and they very rarely make mistakes when they sign players, Bournemouth.
And I thought when he played for Chelsea, even though he had some howlers, I thought he was better than Robert Sanchez.
Cool. Napoli are waiting on the Viktor Osimhen deal, but in the meantime, they've picked up Sam Bukema from Bologna. Your thoughts, Gab?
Okay, I got to address Osimhen first because we told you the deal was done. There is an agreement, but they haven't agreed on the payment terms. Apparently, Galatasaray want to say, they're like, we'll pay you $40 million now and then $35 million over time. And then Napoli says, everything up front. They're going to have to meet in the middle at some point. Still hugely disappointed that Viktor Osimhen isn't signing for a club in the Big Five leagues where he deserves to be. But whatever. Sam Belma, I think it's a good signing, 30-odd million. He had a tremendous year last year, Holland International. And Napoli desperately need depth at the back because Rahmani ain't going to play every single minute of every single game like last year, and Buongiorno's had his injuries. And, of course, now you've got more optionality in terms of playing a back three that Antonio Conte wants to play. Jordan Henderson to Brentford on a free transfer is all done. Do you like this? He hopes it will ensure he's on the plane to the 2026 World Cup. And I am asking you this question. Jules addressed this when he left Ajax on a free. Jules, not a big fan of Jordan Henderson, the player, as a person notwithstanding. So I'm hoping you like Jordan Henderson more, and we'll say nice things about what he can bring to Brentford.
He's one of those guys, when he first signed for Liverpool, I wondered what he brought to the team. When you see him on the television, fans maybe didn't appreciate him. Then you go see him in person and you watch him. And whenever the ball is in play, he's always in a triangle. Not always the pass that you want to make. If there's a throw-in, he's always one of the options. And he's busy. He's also very vocal as well. So you probably have to go to a game and watch him for 90 minutes to get a full appreciation, which maybe for the first year at Liverpool I didn't see. But he was very important to Liverpool's success. He's a great pro. And Brentford, again, another team that very rarely do bad deals. That they brought Christian Eriksen back, didn't they? What a great job he did for them. Henderson might be the modern day Eriksen, and they get somebody in that leader to look to. And, you know, the England captain for 2026 on a free transfer. What a bargain.
It's funny because obviously Brentford and Brighton, you know, they often get lumped in together about, look, you know, they're so clever with their scouting and look, their data, blah, blah, blah. But both teams like to have an old guy who's been there, done that, hanging around. No, but think about it. Like, we saw it with Lallana, we saw it with Milner. Welbeck's not young either at Brighton. Here with these guys, we saw it with Eriksen, we saw it with freaking Ben Mee. Shows up there, and I thought, what's he doing here? You know, so it's counterintuitive, but they see the value in experience too. They're not just a bunch of nerds going on about, you know, data and youth.
Yeah, good point. Young manager, and then an old captain as well.
Andy Carroll is back on these shores at 36 years young. And after a stint at Bordeaux. He's joining Dagenham and Redbridge, who, as I learned today, and you learned today, apparently have a Qatari owner.
Yeah, you broke that when you threw that one at me. I think they've been owned for 2 days by the Qatari owner as well. And
by the way, not every Qatari is rich. Not every Qatari is a relative of the Emir. Right? We can agree on that?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But I guess you've got to be pretty wealthy to buy Dagenham and Redbridge.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're very expensive.
Well, I think they've had US owners in the last couple of years as well, and it seems to be swapping and changing hands. It's a lovely field out there that they play on, nice pitch that they play on as well. It's one of those clubs that's got a lot of history behind it as well, the Daggers. And Andy Carroll we're talking about. Every time you see him on the telly, he looks a little bit heavy, but when I saw him interviewed on Sky Television, I realised he's just grown a very big kind of Bordeaux-like beard, I guess. And he's going to drag the fans in there, isn't he?
Does he give off Cantona vibes at this age?
Let's not go there. But he's a good signing. He's going to be a headline signing, 36 as well. He's going to get the fans in there, and no non-league defender is going to fancy a Saturday afternoon in the company of Andy Carroll. Well, Milan are hoping to sign fullback Archie Brown from Ghent, Gab. Not only did they lose out to Fenerbahce, I love this, they got trolled too.
Yes, and first of all, you and Archie Brown have something in common, I believe.
God. What's that?
Weren't you at Derby County?
Yeah. Did he get released by Derby as well? Was he put on the scrap heap by
I don't
Derby?
know if he was released by Derby, but he certainly went through the youth academy there. I think actually, and then he went to Lausanne. Maybe Dave Brailsford and Ratcliffe, who we haven't mentioned yet on the show. Maybe they were involved in him joining Lausanne. I don't know, but he's turned into a very good.
It's an amazing story.
fullback.
The way has turned it around, isn't it? To go from Derby to go, was it Belgium he went to, and now
with Derby, Lausanne, and then Ghent, and now Fenerbahce. Now Milan thought they had him. I think there was a release clause. It was something like 10 million. It's not a lot of money. In the end, Fenerbahce pulled ahead of him, and so Fenerbahce decided to. He decided to release this video of him kind of on the plane, and he's on his way to Italy. He says let's change the channel and stuff, and he opts for kebabs instead of pizza. I need to remind them, by the way, pizza has nothing to do with Milan. Milan's my city. Pizza's not part of our culture. So I don't really get the references. We have lots of delicious foods in Milan that you could have used. My message to the Fenerbahce social media manager, but it was very clever. And he gets to be coached by Jose Mourinho, fulfilling a childhood dream, no doubt.
Absolutely. Who would have thought that when he got released by Derby? Canadian forward Olivia Smith has become the first £1 million player when she joined Arsenal from Liverpool this weekend. Gab, the Gunners are throwing money around in the women's game too.
They are. Now, £1 million, it's a round number. So, I think somebody else was forget who it was the first $1 million player. And then you had the first €1 million player, who may have been Naomi Girma, who of course was the world record transfer when she moved from San Diego Wave to Chelsea. I think it was last January.
Yep.
Now it's Olivia Smith. She's only 20 years old, an up-and-comer. Arsenal clearly, happy to throw the money around. I wouldn't get too worked up by transfer fees in the women's game. Obviously, still dwarfed by the men's game. I think what's more important when this money gets thrown around is that this money then gets reinvested. Hopefully Liverpool use this money not just on players, but on continuing to improve conditions for their women's team and strengthen the women's team and try to build it up.
Yeah, I think their conditions are good. They just don't have a coach at Liverpool at the moment, I think, don't they?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
But educate me more. Why don't they have a coach?
I think Matt Beard, I think it's his name. I think he went last year, and I think they're waiting to approach this talk of Taylor going there as well. So I think Liverpool, what would they say? They're in a transitional stage.
Transitional. Speaking of transitions, you know, the guy's name is Matt Beard. Mm-hmm. You familiar with the band ZZ Top?
I have heard of their music, yes.
Did you know that there's 3 members? 2 of them have big beards, and the one guy who's clean shaven, his name is Frank Beard.